Kirsten again from the Cake Making Mum. Today we are going to make an Oreo drip cake. So I've got here my chocolate cake that I've prepared earlier, and what we're going to do first is we're going to prepare our cake to ice it. Just before I jump into the cake, I just want to let you know that everything that I've purchased for today, all my ingredients and my supplies, I have bought here locally in Melton. Most of it I just got from Coles. My cake boards, my ingredients were all pretty much from Coles. So they're really easy products to find locally. So the first thing I'm going to do is prepare my cake before I ice it. So as you can see, it's got a little rounded top and we need to cut that off and make it nice and flat. What I'm also going to do with this cake, as it is quite nice and high, I'm going to cut my cake in half and we're going to have 2 layers. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut off the top bit. So I'm going to find the lowest point of my cake and I'm just going to cut off the top. You want a nice sharp knife when you do it. Make sure it's nice and level. So that's nice and level. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut my cake in half. So I'm just going to apply my knife in the center. And I'm just going to cut it in half. And there I have my 2 layers of cake. Alright, so I've cut and leveled my cakes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my cakes onto the cake board. So this is just a cake board I picked up from Coles. I'm going to grab my buttercream. So I've prepared my buttercream already, but I've made an Oreo buttercream. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop a little bit of buttercream on my board so that my cake sticks to the board. And I'm going to take my bottom layer of the cake and I'm going to push it down. Okay, make sure it's in the center of the board. Then I'm going to take some more buttercream and I'm just going to fill the center. Give it a nice layer of Oreo buttercream between the 2 layers of cake. Once again, this doesn't need to be perfect. And I'm going to pop that second layer on top. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some more buttercream. Just make sure that your cakes are nice and straight and are in line with each other. I'm going to take some buttercream and I'm going to scrape it around the sides of my cake. So if there's any holes or cake showing, that's fine. We can just fill it up with some icing. Any holes down the bottom, we'll just grab some icing and we'll scrape some on there. Okay, so we'll make sure it's all nice and covered. You can put a nice thick layer around it. So we want all our cake to be covered. So when I scrape it, we don't want to have any cake showing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my scraper and I'm just going to scrape around the cake, try and give it a nice smooth edge and get off any excess buttercream. Alright, so there's a few little holes that I just want to fill. I'm just going to fill that up. So now I'm going to do the top. So I'm just going to scrape off these extra bits. You just want a nice flat top. Doesn't matter if you go over the sides because we can just scrape the sides again. Alright, last little bit for this is we're going to clean up the board. Get that extra icing off. Then I'll grab some paper towel and clean the board. And then I'm going to pop that in the fridge to set. It needs to be nice and hard before we can do the drip. Alright, so I've just taken my cake out of the fridge. So it's nice and cold now. So I'm going to apply my drip. I've heated up my chocolate drip in the microwave and I've just popped it into a Ziploc bag. It's a really easy way to apply the drip. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off the tip here Okay, you want to make sure that your drip is not too hot because it will melt your icing. You can also use Ziploc bags for your icing as a piping bag. So they're a really easy way to ice your cakes or do your drips. And then you just throw them out when you're done. I've got a little bit left over, so I'm just going to fill the top. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pour the rest of it around the top. I'm just going to get my little spatula and scrape it around. When you're working with a chocolate drip, you have to work quickly because it will set. There you go, there's your drip. So I might make this the front of my cake. I'm just going to add some Oreos on it. And we're going to decorate our cake. I really just throw them on. Once they're on though, you can't move them because you will ruin your drip. So you put them on and really just hope that they look good. Might just pop another one here. So because the drip is still wet, it's like a glue. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the leftover Oreo buttercream that I had. I'm going to fill up the piping bag. I'm going to use this tip here, looks like a star. I'm going to pop the leftover Oreo buttercream that I had into my piping bag. There are so many different tips that you could use. Each one does something different depending on the way that you pipe as well. There's so many different ways you can pipe. So a lot of it is just exploring, buying a tip and seeing what it can do. So I'm just going to pop that in there. And what I'm going to do is just pipe around the top. Might start here. I'll show you. And I'm just going to push out like that. What I might do actually is add some Oreos in the middle. And there you have it. There's your Oreo drip cake.